this lesson today we're going to show you how to use paper space model space, which is a concept in AutoCAD to make a series of drawings all out of one file in AutoCAD. We're going to work with the bookshelf project, and we're going to make a set of working drawings including a cover sheet, a drawing list, an assembly drawing, and detailed drawings. One detailed drawing for each part of the bookshelf. So we'll have detailed drawing for the base, the back, and the foot, or the leg. To get started, what we're going to do I've already created this file that has an isometric of the bookshelf and orthographic views of the base. I'm not going to create the orthographic views of the other parts. I'm going to leave that for you. Notice though that I haven't dimensioned the orthographic views, and I haven't worried about the spacing between the views, because when we go to work with paper space, model space, what we're going to do is we're going to do our dimensioning and our view spacing in paper space. So let's have a look at paper space. So far we've always worked with model space, and down here we've got these two tabs. Actually you may have three, probably model, layout 1, and layout 2. We've always worked in the model tab, and layout tab, effectively what we're going to be doing is putting a paper over top of the model, and then what we'll do is cut viewports into the paper that will allow us to look through and see different parts of the model space. So I'm going to click on layout 1, and here we've got a paper space layout. You're going to hear me talking about paper space. In AutoCAD they used to always refer to paper space, model space. They tend to talk a little bit more about layouts now, so whenever you're hearing me talk about paper space, I'm really referring to these layouts down at the bottom here. So when it opens, there's a viewport, and there's also this sheet of paper. The dashed line represents the margins that the printer can print to, so anything outside of the dashed lines would not get printed. We've got this viewport, which allows us to see through the paper and see things that are in the model space. We've got this tab down here that we've never used, paper, and I can toggle it to be in model or paper. The other way I can do that is to double click in the viewport, and I get this highlight, which means that I'm in model space, or double click away from the viewport, and that the line is no longer highlighted. Sorry, the outline of the viewport is no longer highlighted, and we're back to paper space. So I can toggle between model space and paper space just by clicking on the toggle button, or by clicking into and then out of the viewport. So the way the viewport works is we can, it really acts like an object, just like any other object. I could click on it and then move it, so I can type in M for move and move the entire viewport. Nothing's moving in model space, I'm just moving this viewport on this page. I could click on it and stretch it, so I could do something like that, or I could stretch it so that I can only see just a portion of the model space. And that's typically what you're going to be doing, is making it so that you can only see some of the model space behind. So when we do our cover sheet, we're going to want to see the isometric view of the object. And then when we do the detail of the base, we're going to want to see just the views of the base itself. Okay? So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one layout for every drawing that we're going to do, and I'm going to start off with the cover sheet as an example. In this particular video, I'm only going to do the cover sheet, and then we'll do subsequent videos to show you the others. So to start with, I'm going to click on the layout, right click, and go to I'm going to just stop that for a minute. I'm going to go to showing you a little bit about the paper space, model space. I'm going to draw a line in paper space right across the entire drawing. And if I go to model space, take a look, that line doesn't exist there. Go back to layout, and it's only on the paper that covers up, so in paper space. If I delete that one and instead double click into the model space, then I've now reached through the paper and I can actually work in model space. So if I draw a line through it now and double click back to get back into paper space, if I go to the model, you'll see that that line does exist there. So we can, by double clicking into the viewport, we can actually reach through and work in model space. Delete that one. So now to begin with, to make the cover sheet drawing, we're going to want a border in here. So in my model space, I have created two borders, and you'll create a third one as well. The one is our standard metric border. This one is the border that will be used for the assembly drawing that has a parts list. And then you'll create another border as well that is going to have a bill of materials, and that's the border that you'll use for each of the detail drawings. To bring this one to our first layout, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and I'm going to select the entire border. And then I'm going to hit Enter to select the objects. Don't forget to do that. Down here it says Select Objects. If you don't, then the objects don't get entered into the clipboard. Now this Edit Copy is just like any other Windows program where we do copy and paste. It is different than doing copy in AutoCAD, where we would just type in CO or selecting copy from the modified menu. That would not enter the objects into the clipboard and allow us to paste them somewhere else. So it's important for this purpose to use Edit Copy. Okay? So I'm going to go to Layout 1 now, and I'm going to Edit, Paste my border in. Okay? And I'm going to put it in just about there. It allows me to decide where to put the border in. I'm going to shorten up this viewport a little bit. And notice that the paper size looks like it's too big for our border. That's because the default is A4 style paper. We really want to use A paper, A size paper, which is 8.5 by 11, or otherwise called letter paper. And so what we're going to do is go down to the Layout tab, right click with the mouse, and go to Page Setup Manager. Then I'm going to go to Modify, and then I'm going to set up all of the things for the printer. So I select my printer. In this case it's the 123A printer. If you were working somewhere else, you would select the appropriate printer there. Select your paper size. In our case we want letter size paper. Select your units. We're using millimeters. In paper space, we're always going to work at 1:1. Okay, so we're working a little bit different than what we've done in the past. We're going to set everything in paper space to 1:1, and then we're going to change the scale of our viewports so that they're reduced down to fit into the paper. So it's a little bit different than what we've done recently. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the plot style to monochrome so that everything will print out at the same darkness. And landscape is good. And then what to plot, we want to plot the layout. Usually we use Extents, but this time we want to use layout. Okay. And I would do a preview here, but it takes a little bit of time with my printer, so I'm just going to say OK, and then close. And notice now that the paper is smaller. And what I'm going to need to do is to move my metric border and everything a little bit to the left to get it to fit into the paper margins. So I'm just going to do the Move command. And move it over to look fairly centered within the margins.